Winning isn't everything. Wanting to is. I brought you this image I found a while ago that I thought would be a great image to start with because it reminds me of a great story. When I was around 15, hanging around the skate park, all of a sudden, John Simon, the first ever Olympic gold medalist in halfpipe snowboarding, comes up to me. We knew each other already. We were skating together. All of a sudden, really, really serious, John comes up to me and says, "Iouri, concentrate on skateboarding and snowboarding and forget about women and drugs." All of a sudden, you know, like, it's still stuck in here. I'm really, every single time I remember, it's horrifying. So who am I to talk about winning today? I mean, she already said, I hoped she wouldn't. I was very fortunate to win this year, win that Olympic gold medal, the same one just 16 years later after John Simon did the first time. And this is what it looked like. This image, it means everything to me. I mean, it's one of those images, it's when I just bring it along, and I like to show it because it's one of my favorite images, and I think it's one of those things that I think they have the ability, they have the chance to last maybe forever. And I think most of the things I do, or I try to do, or I fight for, the biggest accomplishment would be if they could last forever. Now, more about winning. I said winning isn't everything. This is me during my winning run. And winning, if I say winning isn't everything, what am I saying here? You know, like it's a dream come true. Me saying that feels weird saying that, but I have a point to make here. In my life as a snowboarder, the past 14 years, I've pretty much been all after this, looking for the next trick, looking for the next thing to do, looking for the next challenge. And when I look at all the winners in the past and all the people I look up to, even at my own choices I've made, a lot of the times winning, especially in our sport, it doesn't really mean the same thing you would imagine. Now, what am I saying? We're judged by overall impression. You know, the overall impression of my grandma is not the same of the judge sitting in the booth, and I don't want to compare those two. But in general, I was a kid once, and the perfect example to bring this a little bit closer to you would be to show you my least favorite winner in our competitive snowboarding halfpipe history. This is Ross Powers in the middle of a way more beautiful backside there than I showed you of myself. And why am I showing you this? Because when I was a kid, this is a great memory of when I really didn't want someone to win, although he was riding the best, he was riding the highest, and it really doesn't make sense right now, I know, but I'll keep going and maybe you'll understand. But you're sitting in front of the TV, and I really, when it came out that he won, I wanted to throw that TV out of the window. Now, maybe it was my brother, you know, he was dictating what was cool, what wasn't cool, and you know, I did snowboard because of him, I did want to be better than him. But something was, you know, in general, I was not cheering for this guy, and I was not happy when he won. And snowboarding was already my life back then. Now, there are really funny facts, or good facts actually, about that competition. Helmets weren't mandatory. It left a lot of creative room to rock an amazing hairstyle like Heikki Sor says right here. And it was really easy to cheer for someone else. It was, maybe that was the fact. It was actually one of the greatest ways to showcase snowboarding in a competition. In the history of snowboarding, I would say that is one of the most authentic ways it ever happened. I wanted to talk why winning isn't everything. I brought along this image because I want to connect through this image into what I want to get through and what I want to get into a little bit deeper. Now, when I look at this image, I see a challenge. I think everyone can agree, it looks like a challenge to me. I mean, it doesn't look easy, right? And where there's a challenge, and that triggers something in our head, we usually think of how to master that challenge. Or some of us do, most of us, hopefully. A challenge, how to challenge it, if you want to go through this the fastest way, if you want to be the most creative, if you want to do it in a team, that all comes together to sort of a competitive thought. And I think actually competitive thoughts are in our nature. So where there's a competition, there's a winner. And I say winning isn't everything. So stop. I also see something else, which really puts these two things together. What I'm trying to get to is this want situation. Now, when I see this image, I also see kind of a question mark, like, where does this go? Maybe some of you ask yourself as well, like, where does this end? And as soon as you ask yourself a question like that, some people just turn around and they don't want to know, they don't care. But some people, they get real interested. And when the interest is there, when there's a want situation, I want to know where this goes, that's when it gets real interesting. Now, when I started my competitive life in snowboarding, after the TV and after the crazy haircuts, and I get out there, the most interesting question I could ask myself, the most interesting challenge I could find in this sport, especially in the competitive part of this sport, was definitely this guy. This is Shaun White in the middle of his classic backside air. And some of you may know, some of you may not know, this guy has been beaten like a handful of times throughout his whole career. When I started, he was already world champion, and he was already so far ahead of everyone. It seemed so unreachable. Two-time Olympic champion in the halfpipe as well. So that was the most interesting question I could ask myself, and that kept me going for ages, and still keeps me going. I mean, this guy motivates me more than anything. It's the most interesting thing to me. It's the most interesting challenge. A lot of people ask me, and then what? It's an interesting question. This was about wanting to. That wanting to is more important than the actual winning, right? So you win. How does it feel? What next? So it doesn't really work that way. And I wanted to get into this because the way it works, at least the way it worked for me, in order to win, you have to be able to take care of everything that surrounds winning, to be able to prepare to win, to be able to imagine to win, to be able to handle everything that comes with winning. For me, this was real awkward, but for me, I have a theory. When I told this my dad, he always rolls his eyes. He doesn't get it. I'm going to try to explain this to you. Maybe you'll get it, and I'm going to try really hard. Now, when I want something really bad, and I say want because when I want to win, it sounds way better when somebody says, I'm going to win. And if you say, I want to win, it's so much more powerful, I think. Because there's a story there. There's something's going to happen. You might win, you might not win, but there's something I want to see behind that want situation. Now, when I said I want to win an Olympic gold medal, I found that there's no way I'm going to win if that's the pinnacle. There's no way that you can reach a goal if that's it. There's got to be something above it. And now a lot of people ask me, so what is it? What is above it? How can you put, in sports, Olympic gold medal, that's it? Well, so no. I say wanting to. And when I say wanting to, it doesn't have to do with sports. Now, I found myself something that I found so interesting that I don't know exactly what I want about it, but it kept me so interested, and it was so high up there. It was higher up there than an Olympic gold medal. And only that way I could feel something that I really want really hard, like an Olympic gold medal, come closer to you, because if you can put the limit higher than the Olympic gold medal, you might get really close. Now, this might surprise you, but before the Olympic Games, all of a sudden, I got really interested in art. And actually, this particular picture, the Mona Lisa of Leonardo da Vinci, kept me, I couldn't sleep because the facts around it, that is, it is a handmade piece by one human being. One human being. You know, I've told you about all the Olympic champions that were so far in halfpipe snowboarding. Now this is one human being that did something that I imagine I couldn't do in 5 lifetimes. And this excites me. This is interesting. This is something that drives me crazy, that one human being could do something that I cannot imagine doing in 1 lifetime. Now once you put something higher up, like if I'm going to win or not, I'm never going to be able to paint the next Mona Lisa, then winning comes closer to you because you want something way out of space, way out of your reach. And that is how I see the theory of winning and wanting to. I want to also share this really amazing quote with you that, in case you didn't understand what I was trying to tell you today, you might, because this really puts it all in one sentence. Please read with me. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential, these are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. Personal excellence.